Airlines are more than transport. They are flying ambassadors, carrying a nation's image to the world. For open, outward-looking countries, they are engines of trade, tourism, and connections. But in authoritarian regimes, airlines can take on a very different role. They become symbols of power, prestige, and control, not built for passengers, but for propaganda. This is the story of two such airlines, Turkmenistan Airlines and North Korea's Air Koryo. Carriers whose wings don't carry nations forward, but instead carry the weight of their leaders' vanity. The history of aviation has always been political. In the early 20th century, governments quickly saw aircraft not just as machines of war, but as tools of diplomacy and national pride. Britain launched Imperial Airways to show off its empire. France's Air France emerged as a global cultural ambassador. In the United States, Pan Am carried the banner of capitalism abroad. And in the Soviet Union, Aeroflot became the single largest airline on Earth, with tens of thousands of aircraft. The message was clear: a strong nation must have a strong airline. But where democracies balance pride with profit, dictatorships often tipped the scales. Airlines became less about serving people and more about serving leaders. Turkmenistan, a Central Asian nation rich in natural gas, has been ruled for decades by authoritarian leaders. President Saparmurat Niyazov, who renamed himself Turkmenbashi, father of the Turkmen, filled his capital with golden statues and marble palaces. His successor, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, styled himself as protector of the nation. Both men pursued monumental projects to demonstrate their supposed greatness, and aviation became part of this theatre. Ashgabat International Airport. In 2016, a vast new terminal opened in Ashgabat, costing more than $2.3 billion. It was built to handle 14 million passengers each year, but the entire country only attracts a tiny fraction of that number. In reality, fewer than 1 million travelers pass through annually. The airport, designed in the shape of a soaring falcon, now stands as a gleaming but empty monument, a symbol not of Turkmenistan's openness, but of its isolation. Turkmenistan Airlines. The national airline itself operates a modern fleet of Boeing 737s and 777s. But unlike the Gulf carriers it tried to imitate, it never really became a true hub airline. Routes remain sparse, service is basic, and international recognition is very low. In 2019, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency banned Turkmenistan Airlines from European skies, citing safety concerns. Though the ban was eventually lifted, it reinforced the airline's reputation as unreliable and opaque. Despite billions invested in runways and aircraft, Turkmenistan Airlines has never attracted serious global traffic. Instead, it exists largely to serve government officials, wealthy elites, and the image of the regime. The vanity of infrastructure, the irony, is striking. In a nation where healthcare and education struggle, where poverty persists despite vast natural resources, billions are poured into monuments to ego. The Falcon Airport, the Marble City, and the airline that barely flies. Each project reveals a state more concerned with spectacle than service. Turkmenistan Airlines is less an airline, more a stage prop. A falcon forever perched, but rarely in flight. With origins in the Cold War, North Korea's national airline, Air Koryo, was founded in 1950 as a joint venture with the Soviet Union. At its height, it operated to Moscow, Berlin, Sofia, and Prague. But over the decades, sanctions, isolation, and economic decline shrank its wings. Today, its international network is reduced to a handful of flights to China and Russia. Air Koryo has gained notoriety as the world's worst airline. Passengers step aboard aging Soviet aircraft, Tupolev, Ilyushin's, Antonovs, and the cabins are sparse, the food infamous, a cold bun known as the Air Koryo burger. Entertainment consists of propaganda and patriotic music praising the Kim dynasty. For aviation enthusiasts, it's a curiosity. But for ordinary travelers, a grim reminder of isolation. But above everything, Air Koryo is a tool for the state. Air Koryo is not meant to compete with Emirates or Singapore Airlines. It exists to serve the regime. Its primary passengers are diplomats, loyal officials, and the few foreigners allowed into Pyongyang. Every flight reinforces a narrative. North Korea is self-reliant, connected, and modern, even if the evidence suggests otherwise. Decades of international sanctions prevent Air Koryo from acquiring new Western aircraft. Attempts to lease modern planes have failed. What remains is a shrinking fleet of Soviet relics, maintained with difficulty, flying ever fewer routes. Yet despite this, Air Koryo survives, not because it is profitable, not because it is necessary, but because its very existence flatters the regime. Now, why do dictators love airlines? Authoritarian leaders crave symbols of modernity. Skyscrapers, stadiums, motorways, and airports. Each project sends a message to citizens and the world. We are powerful, advanced, and legitimate. Airlines, with their global reach, carry this symbolism further. A jet, painted in national colours, becomes a flying billboard for the regime. And Turkmenistan and North Korea are not alone. Libya, under Muammar Gaddafi, maintains Afrikaya Airways, with ambitions far beyond its actual passenger base. Saddam Hussein's Iraq invested heavily in Iraqi Airways, even as sanctions crippled its operations. Equatorial Guinea and Congo have funded Vanity carriers with little commercial justification. Each shares the same DNA: prestige over practicality. The cost is staggering. Modern aircraft cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Airports require billions more in infrastructure, staffing, and upkeep. In nations struggling with economies, these sums are colossal. Yet dictatorships justify them as investments in national pride. The reality? Empty airports, half-full flights. For all their grandeur, these airlines are not bridges to the world. They are barriers. Turkmenistan Airlines collects only a handful of destinations, mostly regional. Air Koryo has been reduced to just a few flights to China and Russia. They do not link their nations to the world's markets or cultures. They link only to power. The power of authoritarian regimes to shape perception, to control movement, and to maintain the illusion of modernity. Airlines can be symbols of progress, pride, and connection, but in dictatorships, they often reveal the opposite: vanity, isolation, and squandered wealth. Turkmenistan Airlines and Air Koryo are not failed carriers by chance. They are monuments to leaders who built runways for ego, not passengers. They remind us that, in authoritarianism, the skies are never truly free. In the end, these airlines do not fly for people, they fly for power.